right. Welcome to our viewers across the world. This is TakeFoul. I'm Sam.
And I'm Oso.
And this is our first episode of this show. Before we get into it, we're just going to be mostly talking about broad topics. We'll touch on breaking news, but we're basically just two people that have a lot of opinions about the NBA. We always think we're right, and this is, it's an outlet, organized area to talk about it. Anything to add there?
I am always right.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's like,
I don't
I'm
miss.
always right 100% of the time. And that's what I would say, is unique about my basketball knowledge. uh,
All right.
anyway, getting right into it. So we have Dennis Schroder back with the Los Angeles Lakers on a $2.64 million deal.
Yeah.
And he's been balling, in the Eurobasket. And he's back with the Lakers. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I love it for LA. I really do think that it kind of strengthens up to their backcourt with the kind of inconsistencies they had with Westbrook and the health concerns that you're going to have with like Beverly and Nunn. I think Dennis Schroeder is just a very competent guard to be kind of adding to that kind of team. And he has been playing excellently in the what is it, the Euro Championships? What do they call it? The
Eurobasket.
Eurobasket. Um, Team Germany, I think, did they win?
No, no, it's Spain and France in the final now.
Uh,
But I think they got pretty far.
is Victor on that France team?
No, Victor. So, I don't think. No, Victor's not on the France team, but Victor is coming to the Vegas, I think, for like a G League Ignite game.
What?
Yeah, on like October 6th.
Oh,
Uh,
that's kind of hype.
yeah. So, like, you can imagine every single NBA executive is gonna have,
Will be in attendance.
someone there.
Yes,
Um,
because everyone is in the mad dash for the wobble for um Ombayama or whatever his name is.
the great wobbling. Yeah, I think Schroeder, they tried to bring him in the year after their championship,
Hmm.
wasn't, I think.
Yeah,
It didn't really work out, and they ended up dumping him somewhere else.
yeah. Didn't they offered him a contract and he kind of bet on himself a little bit and lost.
Oh,
I feel
oh,
because
yes.
yeah, they're gonna offer him a decent contract, but he thought he was worth a little bit more, and then he's kind of just been in purgatory since leaving LA. Kind of, I feel.
Yeah, wasn't that like 80 million or something? Like, no, maybe
Yeah, it
not.
was
Or
something.
like
It
60.
was something dumb. Yeah, it was something dumb, and now it kind of
Now he's
where he
coming back.
ends up now is taking a huge pay cut for the year. But that's what happens. He took a risk, didn't quite work out, but Dennis Schroeder is still a very capable basketball player. I feel. And I do like the move for the Lakers. I really do. I think it's going to help them in spots where they really were hurting last year. I think it's fair to say that their backcourt was not very strong, and I do think that this kind of makes it a lot better.
I don't think he's necessarily a needle mover, like, substantially, but I do, I agree. I think he's like a good veteran presence, and I think he can definitely shoot better than Westbrook, and it gives them more options, I guess.
Yes, and one of the most fun players to play with back on like 2K14. Unbelievable pull up.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, he's a good player.
Yeah.
I still think he's a really good player.
We also have the monster signing we do have to talk about for your Wolves.
Yes, colossal signing. Let's see. Uh, 1 p.m. today? Yesterday? Let me
Uh,
check. Let me check. I gotta know. The Woj tweeted this out. Yes, 1 p.m.
yeah,
today, 3 hours ago. Um, we are.
maybe the first major outlet to be discussing this signing.
So, okay, PJ Dozier. I have some thoughts. I think, obviously he's on Exhibit 10, like playing in training camp kind of role.
Yeah,
There's not a lot of room on the roster. But like watching him play in Denver when he was healthy, he's like a 6'6" point guard, Um,
yeah.
and it's interesting. He's
Um,
only 25, Um, it's not like we'll see if he gets playing time, but like he was getting a pretty substantial amount of playing time with the Nuggets. Um,
yeah, I mean, he was clocking, what is that, like 18 minutes or whatever before that
yeah, yeah,
the dreaded ACL.
yeah, he was a legit rotation player. He stepped up when like Will Barton and stuff went down. But the main thing that's funny about this is that uh, like Tim Conley is just making the Wolves into the Nuggets.
They're
Like,
they're building the Nuggets. Yeah,
yeah,
this is exactly what he's doing.
this seems to happen
You're,
with the
you're,
Wolves somehow. Like when Thibodeau was there, he's like
you rebuilt the Bulls. I love that. Was
you just,
uh,
you just have like
Taj.
Taj, Derrick Rose, like
Yeah,
uh, and Jimmy, of course. But
yeah, stuff like that. That kind of speaks to the identity crisis that I do feel like the Wolves have kind of fallen into in the past few years. But I do think they are working in that right direction. But right now, they do feel like it does feel like they're kind of restructuring themselves as the Nuggets with their European center, very talented young player. But I think they are moving in the right direction. I don't know what PJ Dozier like. I don't know. He's PJ Dozier. It's not like anything special or fantastic. I think it's fine, Um, but I do think that moves the Wolves have made this offseason, have been pretty impressive. And I do think they are setting themselves up for a good run. But at the same time, it's PJ Dozier. I don't know, like,
yeah, yeah. I mean, the only thing I'll say is that like if you asked me at the beginning of the offseason, like if the Wolves would get Austin Rivers, PJ Dozier, Bryn Forbes, I would be like, I want PJ Dozier. Just because of his size and like I think there's just a little more versatility there than those other two guys. All right.
true. I am a big Austin guy though, but I do think PJ is probably a better fit for what you guys are gonna probably want out of him.
Well, I mean, who knows if he'll make the fucking team, you know.
Yeah.
So now we are going into a very highly anticipated section for me. Um, the overrated and underrated players in the league. And so like there's like a few guys that I like want to touch on a
Hmm.
lot, and then a
Yeah.
few guys that I just kind of threw in. But why don't we start with your overrated players?
All right. I'm gonna start with Fred Van Fleet. Um, I don't rate Fred Van Fleet at all. I think Fred Van Fleet is just someone who scores a lot of points. Like he had. I think he averaged like 20 points last year. But at the same time, dude takes every single shot. Dude will put up every shot that he sees now that Kawhi's gone. And I think that he was an All Star last year. Yeah, he was getting like 20 and like 5 or whatever. But I really don't rate him too highly as a player, and I don't think he is a very good number one option for a Toronto team if they ever really want to make another push towards a championship, or if they're just kind of content being all right after they won their last one.
I think Fred is a really solid player. But I think he's got a lot of constraints on his game.
Hmm.
Um, like you can only like shoot so I don't know. He's like a smaller guy. He's not that athletic. He's pretty strong, but like I don't. Yeah, I agree. I don't think he can be like a first or second option on a team for them to be good.
And when you have the chosen one, Malachi Flynn, on that roster, he's taking all of his looks.
Yeah, come on. How many points did Fred Van Vliet drop in the Drew League?
Exactly.
Radio silence. Whatever. Um,
Who do you got for an overrated?
so the first guy on my list is R.J. Barrett.
I had
Um,
him on my list as well.
I think yeah. So you'll have some thoughts. I think R.J. is like seen as this like crown jewel in New York. You know, and like sure he averaged like was it like 20 points a game last season,
Yeah, I think a
something like that.
little under 20
Yeah,
or a little over, yeah.
yeah, like around like 20.1 I would say, which is
Mm.
great, but
Yeah.
he's not like the most efficient shooter. you know I don't He's not like really like a great distributor. He's probably solid on defense. I don't even know, but like it's the Knicks. And he is, but where his game is like seriously questionable is his close. Like I can't remember the stats off the top of my head, but he's terrible at layups. I'm not even kidding. Like he was like so bad at layups. Like there's like actually, he's like one of the worst in the NBA around the rim, which is like
Wild
that is like
for being,
what the hell is that? That's
yeah,
questionable. That's
being,
not efficient. I don't see him getting like tons better than where he's at now.
yeah,
Um,
no, I 100% agree. I think this is what RJ Barrett is, and I think like it's not bad. I don't think it's a bad place to be, like averaging 20 points a game, but I don't think he's that guy who's going to take you to the next level, in which the Knicks desperately are kind of looking for, especially after signing that Brunson deal, which again I can't believe. But my biggest complaint with RJ is more of a mentality thing. I feel like he just is never the guy who wants to be that dude, you know? Like I feel like he's always kind of had protection kind of around him, and he's never had to kind of be the one that everyone's like, oh, like we gotta watch out for RJ. Like even in college, and now with like the way the Knicks have kind of been playing around Julius Randle, like I don't feel like he's ever been like the look that guy to be like, oh, he's him for the Knicks, you know. And I don't think he'll ever be that.
totally.
Yeah.
Who's you got?
Um, my next one, and it kind of breaks my heart to say it. Playoff P, Paul George. Um, I You don't think Paul George is a little bit overrated as a basketball player?
No,
As a
I'm
basketball player?
very high on Paul George.
Oh, I fundamentally can't be since his injury, which was gruesome. Maybe we should splice this clip into that of it into the segment here, but
No.
like I feel like everywhere he is, there's such high expectations, and it just never kind of lives up to it. You know, I'm not saying he's a bad basketball player, but I feel like every kind of situation he's put in, everyone's like, "Oh, we got to watch out for this team. Like when they're healthy, they're gonna be this. When they're healthy, they're gonna be this." And nothing ever happens, right? Like I feel like it's always kind of like even in the bubble playoffs, like that, like they was disappointing, right? Um, this past year, like yeah, they're missing Kawhi, but again, they can't get out of the play-ins. Like I don't know. Like
Oh,
I feel like even though I think he's a very good basketball player. I think what everyone expects him to be on a year-to-year basis, it doesn't really match up with what we see.
all right. Look, I think like Paul George is a really good basketball player. Like
Agree.
he is in terms of like this narrative around like wings and like how high value like big wings are, versatile wings are, which is a myth. We can get into that later, but like that's driven by how good players like Paul George are. And like we talk we're talking. I mean, I understand your point. Like he has not had like tons of like playoff success with like teams that are should be having lots of playoff success. You know. And I think the furthest he got was in the Eastern Conference Finals with the Pacers, you know, which was a great series against LeBron and the Heat.
Yeah, and I think that was right the year before he got hurt, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, and I was hyped, and I was hyped on him then too. I think that Pacers team was really fun to watch, and they were a really exciting team in the East. And I think it was unfortunate that the time he came in was LeBron's like dominance, right? And I feel like he was never able to kind of overcome that, which is unfortunate. But I feel like for me, he has the expectations surrounding him are unfortunate, but they are what they are.
I okay, like in terms of like his expectations, like versus like what he's been able to achieve in like playoff success, sure. But like I
Mm-hmm.
think that like as a basketball player, like I think he's like just as good. You know, he was in like MVP form in Oklahoma City a few years ago,
Yeah.
and he's not far off, like right now from that. And I think he could. I don't think he could, you know, get to that MVP conversation because there's just too many talented players that have like gotten better right
And
now.
he's past his peak for sure, and I think he's definitely past his peak. And I think it's hard to. You don't think Paul George is past his peak, past his prime?
I think he's fully entrenched in his prime right now. I mean, I don't
Oh,
think he can. Yeah, I agree there. I don't think he can get to that like next level. You know,
hmm
but like I think he's fully in his prime, and in his prime, he's one of the best. You know, small forwards, shooting guards, wherever you want to put him in the NBA.
all right. Would you put him in top 10 right now?
I look this top 10 conversation. I'm not ready for it. I haven't prepared for it. I will like we can do this again.
hmm
Probably not. You know,
Yeah,
just like thinking about
yeah.
it, like probably not. But doesn't mean he's not good. Anyway,
All right, fair enough.
this one is weird. Um, but I have Darius Garland on
I
here.
was thinking about he was a back and forth for me one.
Yeah, and it's like as much as you know I appreciate his game, you know, and like I think he's a really good player. But like I've just been hearing, so you know, I think the All Star selection was deserved. You know, he's a great scorer. You know, great point guard, young point guard. But like,
All-Star game was also in Cleveland, so I feel like that was a big piece
well,
of it too.
maybe, you know,
Yeah.
but I think like for me, why he's on this list is because I just don't see him. Kind of like RJ Barrett, like I don't really see him getting much better than he already is.
Yeah. When he was initially going to be on my list, and then I started kind of doing some diving in on him a little bit. I feel like it's hard to put him on the list because like he's averaging almost 40% from three. Like he averaged 20 points a game last year, almost like nine assists. I do think that he and that Cleveland team they're young, you know, and I feel like it's hard to say like I feel like it's hard for me to say that any of them are really overrated at this point because you know like what was Cleveland like 3 years ago, right when he got there, you know. And I do feel like he's improved, and his progression has really shown through the team's progression too.
Yeah, you know, you're right. You're right. He's certainly gotten like a lot better as
Mhm.
like you know in his few years in the NBA. I just think the expectations around him to be like you know on like John Morant's level, I guess, are like
Yeah.
a little bit overblown, and like a lot of people I've seen have been kind of talking like that. So that's the only reason. I think he's a great player,
Mhm.
and the numbers speak for themselves. You know, so like I think his expectations are overrated. Him right now, maybe probably not. I think he's a great
That's
player.
fair. Gary, Indiana native, also. So shout out. We love
He
Gary.
made it out.
Yeah, he made it out. He made it out of Gary. All right, my next one. And this is really just based off his his comments from the end of the year here, and what he expects to be signed for. Probably can guess. Draymond Green. Um, I think Draymond is a huge piece to that Warriors puzzle. I think that they would not be as successful without Draymond. But from a basketball perspective, in what world do you think that that's what you deserve? Like, I think he's a good basketball player. I think he's a good team guy, and he's a guy that you want to have on your side, and he's a guy that if he's on your team, you love to cheer for. But like, you look at his stats from the past, like not even this past year, like past 2 years, kind of going back, it like the numbers aren't there, and I think that says a lot about him as a basketball player. And people kind of continually put him on a higher pedestal than I really think he deserves. Because if he wasn't part of that Seth Curry kind of time frame there, I don't think he would be even in any conversation for being all that special.
Yeah, I mean, the question with Draymond Green is like, how valuable is a glue guy? You know,
Yeah,
and is a glue guy worth max money? I don't know. It's like it's the same thing as like, is a 3 and D guy worth max money?
yeah,
Like probably not. It's like they're the best kind of role players. But like
absolutely. But you're not paying max money for a guy who's not averaging 10 points.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. So yeah, I would agree. I think like the intangibles are the intangibles.
mhm.
Um, but I would put him like right below max money. Like I don't think I can justify putting. The other thing with Darren Green is like, put him on any other team. Like,
Yeah, like what is he doing?
like,
Like,
yeah, like, you're playing with like the two best shooters in NBA history, and
yeah,
you can just run around and like do dribble handoffs, and like
yeah,
you
and
look good.
you can talk your shit while Seth Curry's backing you up by hitting those deep ass threes all the time.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
that's fun. That's
Like,
great. Like he's in a great setup.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'll skip one and go back to it, but there's no order to this anyway.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
another Warrior, Klay Thompson, I think
No,
is
boo.
overrated, dude.
Get
Is
out of
overrated.
here.
Come on,
No,
look.
no.
Respect to his career. Respect to his career. Okay, like he's one of the best shooters. He still is one of the best shooters in NBA history. He is a true splash brother. Like, but I just don't think he's like that, like this star that like that like people are like right now. Like I don't think he's like a star right now. I think he's like like I think he's like a
Coming back
good
from
player.
injuries, like on and off. He said
That's fine. That's fine. He's not that guy. Like he's not. He's not a.
he is 100% that guy.
No, he's
One
not.
thousand
We'll
percent
see.
that guy.
Yeah. Well,
The past 10 years, right? This is his 10 years. How many years do you think he averaged under 40% shooting from three?
probably none. Like I don't. I don't think
Just one, just once. He's
he.
averaged over 20 points for the past like 7 years.
You
I
don't
think
have to
he's
give
one
me
of them.
shooting stats. I know. I know that he can shoot. Like everyone knows that he can shoot. I just don't
And
think
he's a
like.
great defender. He's an elite defender as
Is
well.
he still an elite defender?
He is still an elite defender.
I
Yes,
don't
he is
know.
still an elite defender.
I
He may
don't
have
know if he's.
lost a step this past year with his injuries, but he is an
That's what I'm
absolutely elite
talking about
defender.
right now. That's what I'm talking about. I don't think he's an all-star next year.
You don't think Klay Thompson's an all-star?
No, Klay Thompson is not an all-star next year. Oh, are you kidding me?
Yes,
That is
I am
ridiculous.
shocked that he's on that
How
this
dare you?
name came off
What are you
out of your
talking
mouth.
about? There's so many talented guards in the West that I would put over Klay Thompson. Like
Man,
that, like he's not even top 5 best shooting guards like in the league. Like, no way. Yeah, it's people like you.
I'm gonna
that
vote
I'm
for him a
talking
million
to right
times,
now.
dude. He's
Yeah,
gonna get the
what?
player vote.
Why? Yeah, for him averaging 13 points next season. Like,
You think he's gonna average 13 points? You think Klay Thompson's going to come out and average 13 points?
That's not crazy. That's not crazy to me.
Do we forget the legend of Game 6 Klay?
We all loved Game 6 Clay. I'm just saying, you have Steph Curry, you have Jordan Poole. Those guys should be having the most touches, taking the most shots, and then you have everyone else.
You're not going to sit here and tell me you're taking Jordan Poole over Klay Thompson.
Right now, yes, I am. Absolutely.
Blasphemous.
And let's be real. In the finals, as much as I hate to admit it, Andrew Wiggins was the second option.
Andrew Wiggins was the first option. My personal vote for Finals MVP.
Okay, whatever. We're moving on. Who's your next player?
Let's see. Jalen Brunson. I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. I think, that was a great series he had. He stepped up when they needed him, but I feel like that was the most overhyped signing I really saw coming out of the whole off season. For Knicks' sake, I hope that it works out. Actually, I don't really hope it works out. Fuck the Knicks. I really don't care. But it could be disastrous if he is kind of forced to be the center of attention in a Knicks team. Because I don't see, out of all those guys that they have, I don't really see one guy who's wow, I want him to be our guy on that Knicks team, and it seems like it's going to have to be Jalen Brunson.
No, it's going to be Julius Randle. Just even worse.
Continue to go through Julius.
Yeah, it's going to be another year of Julius Randle basketball for the New York Knicks. Tragic. It's tough because I like Brunson as a player, but I agree with you. He shouldn't be the first option. He shouldn't even be the second option.
No,
I think he'd be a great third option. Absolutely.
Yes, and I think it's not his fault they decided to sign him for so much money.
Yeah, that was so funny too. They're his dad works with Leon Rose, and they're having these conversations already, and as soon as the offseason started, he's signed, and it's just big win for them, and it's okay, yeah, you guys don't even have to do all that, you're overpaying him. Whatever. Yeah, I don't know what the market is right now. It seems like the trade market's broken, the free agency market's a little bit broken right now, and you just overpay for guys like Jalen Brunson. Fair enough. All right. So this is kind of my main focus guy today. How many do you have left?
I have 1.5 we can do. I don't know if I really want to do one of them.
Yeah, I was gonna put Bam Adebayo on here, but he's a good player. He just kind of lost it in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so I'm not huge on him right now.
What are you next to F1 racing? What is that?
It's a motorcycle outside.
Yeah.
Whatever. Bam, that that's all I have to say on it, so we don't really have to talk more about him.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah, I should have guessed this one was coming.
Yeah.
Go off, King. Look,
second most fouls in the NBA last season, right? After Jayshawn Tate. He did have the most blocks, can't take that away from him. That is very good, but he's also consistently taking himself out of the game. That's why he wasn't in the top 3 for the defensive player of the year. He was a first team all defense, but he wasn't in the finalists for defensive player of the year. Look, Karl Anthony Towns was 3rd, and I feel like Cat gets so much shit for his fouling, you know what I mean? And because I which is understandable because Cat's not blocking shots like Jaren Jackson Jr. But on the other hand, I think Karl Anthony Towns is just so much better of an offensive player than this guy. and
Yeah,
people still
uh,
like rank this guy so high as a four.
I think like with the whole cat foul things, I think they like the narrative's different because they have different like expectations around them. Like Jaren Jackson Jr. He's a physical defender. Like he's a physical defender. Cat isn't a great defender, and I
Yeah,
think like that's like kind of the difference with that narrative. I get where you're coming from. Like I don't I wouldn't say he's necessarily like overrated because I feel like I rate him right where he is, like a good defender, but like I don't know, like he's not like a guy who's going to be like moving the needle offensively. Like you don't really think of him like I'm not like really thinking of him as an offensive kind of like guy, and I do think that a lot of those Grizzlies players were really overrated in the playoffs, just kind of like the way they were talking and all that stuff. I feel like they brought a lot of the hype around themselves. Like I think if you take that out, like or if like they lost to you guys in the first round, I don't think like the narrative around them is as big as it is right now. But I do think he is a guy who probably got a little bit overhyped after beating you guys in that kind of contentious series that you had.
yeah. I think that
Yeah,
it's like, however good of a defender you are, you can't be putting your team over the limit. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
causing free throws like
hmm
constantly, and like taking yourself out of the game. Got to
yeah,
sit with foul problems. You foul out, whatever. So like, I think defensively overrated, and then offensively, like people talk about his package or whatever. Like, have you seen like this guy's shot? Like, have you
um,
ever like go back and look at Jaren Jackson Jr.'s jump shot form? He pushes it from his face. That it's like there's almost no spin on the ball. He shot. He's shot 30% from three. He still takes them. Like that's bad. It's not like stop taking them bad, but like it's
yeah.
bad. And like
He
otherwise,
also just he's not getting as many rebounds as I kind of expected he would be getting. Also,
yeah, I mean, that I can excuse a little more just because it's like Steven Adams and what's that other guy's name? Uh, Xavier. No, what's his name? Whatever. Blanking on their backup
mhm.
center's name, but like big rebounder guys.
Mm.
But yes, that is my headliner for
Yeah,
overrated.
I think that's fine. That's fair. Um, and then one where I think majority of people would disagree with me, but majority of people are idiots anyways. And I'm just saying this mostly because I'm angry about the way he acted this offseason, DeJounte Murray. I think that he was being a big old baby, and I think that he is like creating some twisted narrative in his own head about who he is as a basketball player. I think he had a great year and all that, but I don't think he is in a position in which he can come out and just start talking shit like he is like like a top 10 player in the league.
Yeah, he's kind of like gatekeeping, like
Yes.
NBA culture in like a weird
hmm
way, and it's like, you know,
It's like, all right, bro, you're balling on dudes who are like working at Walmart
yeah,
in the morning
yeah,
at these
yeah,
leagues. Yeah,
yeah, and like all that Paulo Banchero shit,
yeah,
like it's like chill out, you know.
yeah.
Um,
But yeah, like he's a fine basketball player. I just think that he himself is beginning to overrate his own abilities, and I'm looking forward to when he kind of gets exposed this upcoming season.
yeah, I mean, less touches on the Hawks. I don't.
Yeah,
I honestly have. I think I have the Hawks in the play-in still.
I
Um,
think I bumped them out. I don't. Yeah,
yeah, out of the top six, you mean?
yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah. I mean, you got like Miami.
Chicago.
Okay, chill out. I mean, look, at the very least, you have Milwaukee, Boston, Philly, Miami, Brooklyn,
yeah,
and I
and
have Cleveland. That could be Atlanta. That could be Chicago.
yeah. It's gonna be a tight
But
race. I think it'll be a tight race for those last couple spots in the East.
all right, moving on to underrated players.
You want to go first?
Sure. So my first guy is PJ Washington. I think like he's set to have a really big year with the Hornets. I think he wasn't getting run because of guys like Miles Bridges, which he had a great season last season. He will never be seen again, which is good. But that's why he. And then like Kelly Oubre has been there. Gordon Hayward. They're all kind of like stretch forward kind of guys.
Yeah.
They like to play a lot with true center with like Plumlee. And he's not quite a true center either, so he got kind of caught in that limbo. But with more room to operate, I think he's actually a really talented player.
Yeah, him and LaMelo seem to be very close too, and I just seeing like the way that kind of young core can kind of evolve there. It's really they have to stop literally shooting themselves in the foot with their off court decision making, but uh, like I like PJ Washington, and like I do think that he is kind of prime for a little bit of a more productive year.
Yeah, I think it's the only thing that's been talked about him is how he like
Keeps getting finessed.
got finessed by that like Instagram model
Yeah,
for
tough.
Yeah, child support, but
my man just wants to find love, dude. Find love in all the worst places.
yeah, well, may he get re-signed to a bad contract so he cannot. It doesn't have to pay as much child support. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. All right. My first one, Seth Curry. Seth Curry. I love Seth Curry as a basketball player, and I feel like it's tough having the name Seth Curry and always being compared to your older brother. But I think he is uh, one of the most efficient backup guards in the league, and I feel like it's really um, like not unfortunate kind of that he can't find like a really like sure and like solid like place. But for being a guy who bounces around as much as he does, I do think that he has done really well for himself. Like his expectations coming out of college, I think were hard just because of who he is and because of like where he went to college. But I do think he has found a really good fit for himself as who he is as a basketball player.
Yeah, Seth Curry was on my list. I took him off because I just wanted to highlight other players, but I 100% agree. I think like people have been talking when they talk about Brooklyn, they talk about Joe Harris coming back, and it's like whatever, fuck Joe Harris. Like you have Seth Curry, the guy who's like led the NBA in 3-point percentage, like the past like 3-4 years, and like free throw percentage as well, like and the thing that's always discussed, which is 100% true, is like when you have stars, when you have high volume players who like need the ball, you need shooters, and he is the best shooter.
Yeah, like I might start the narrative that he's a better shooter than his brother.
Okay. That's probably a little bit of a stretch, but they're neck and neck in terms of percentages. Yeah.
Also, his name's not fucking Wardell, so that's another win for him.
Yeah, is his name actually
Jr.
Seth?
Yeah, his name's actually Seth.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Next, I want to talk about two players in kind of one tandem, and those are Jaden McDaniels and Jalen Noel. And then, I have like one more guy I want to yes.
Yeah.
But just in terms of the Gobert trade, people in the Wolves camp were very high on McDaniels and Noel, and were very happy to not have had to part with either of them. McDaniels, we know who he is. He played a lot. Just like he can like really grow into like a really solid 3-and-D guy. and who knows, maybe more. I feel like it's a little bit more of his handle down stuff. Really promising young player. And then the narrative around it, the trade has been that the Wolves gave up a ton of depth. And I think, in terms of like the true depth piece, it's like Gobert replaces Vanderbilt. Like Beverly is kind of like a guy who does his own, is kind of like in his own like category almost.
Yeah,
But like in terms of like a shooter spark guy coming off the bench, we lost Malik Beasley, right? But it's like the if you were watching and you watched Jalen Noel last season, you would know that he needs more minutes, and that like the only thing that was standing in the way of him getting more minutes was Malik Beasley, who I think was a really good shooter, but he also was like super streaky and doesn't have some of like the other like creation skills that Noel has.
yeah. So I can't say I know too much about Jalen Noel, but I did watch him a lot in college. Back when in like when he went to Washington,
Yeah.
what got me into gambling actually was betting on Pac-12 basketball. And he was probably the most consistent player for the Washington Huskies back in the day. Just always consistently 16 points, 16 points, 16 points, no matter what. He was always going to give you 16 and 8,
Sure.
or 16. Yeah. I do like him as a basketball player. I think what is he like 6'5", six,
Yeah, he's like
like
6'5". Yeah.
around there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do think that he's a very efficient guy. I think he shoot. I think in the like, I think he shoots pretty close to 50%, right? For like the minutes he got.
Yeah, something like that. I
Yeah.
think. I don't know.
So I mean, like, I think he is someone who's pretty young, and you could probably and let me get. Should I
Yeah.
give one? I kind of have two. I'll do them quick. Because one I love and one absolutely it's hard. It breaks my heart to have to say it. First one, Bobby Portis. I he consistently murders the Bulls. Every time we see Bobby Portis, he absolutely murders the Bulls, and it sucks because he was a Bull and we lost him. But when he put those goggles on, he became a new man. Um, and he's just another one of those guys who is just 100% effort 100% of the time, and he's a guy you really like to have on your team, especially when you compare him with an absolute freak of a human with Giannis. And then lastly, on a very similar note to Bobby Portis, Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso may have been the most important player on that Lakers team that no one really kind of talks about. You lose Alex Caruso, and what do you got left? Right? I think that everyone talked a lot about Lonzo, and I think Lonzo did great for the Bulls, and losing Lonzo to injury this year really hurt. But Alex Caruso, I do think, was what kind of dragged us over the finish line when we were losing all those games in the back half to keep us in the playoff spot. Um, Another guy who's just always going to give it his all, 100% effort, and he's the one who's going to be guarding the best player on the basketball court when in the Eastern Conference for the Bulls. So,
Yeah, I agree with you definitely on the Caruso take. I think his value was really looked at. I think that yeah, people rate him and like know who he is and know what he brings to the table. Since he left the Lakers and the Lakers went to shit, but I think I agree with you in terms of how he's been adding value to the Bulls. Everyone talks about how the Lakers miss him, but not necessarily how like the Bulls have been benefiting from him. So I see you there. I think Bobby Portis. I'm not sure if I agree with you that he's underrated. I think that like he's like a really, you know, the guy's been in the spotlight a lot with the Bucks and is like a really solid player that like people I think rate highly, but I could be wrong about that.
yeah, I mean, like I guess like for the Bucks, I feel like there are just like so many guys who are just very talented there. So it's kind of tough, but yeah, that's all I got for those ones. I also had Jared Allen, but I don't really feel the need to talk too much about Jared Allen. I like Jared Allen a lot. He's an all-star too, so you know. But the young Cleveland team. I am very impressed by.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm not huge on Jared Allen, to be honest.
Really.
Yeah, I think he's I think he's good at what he does. But again, one of those young players for me that isn't gonna bring anything else to the table, which is fine, you know. But like in terms of like catapulting that Cleveland team, it's gonna be on Evan Mobley, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, I would 100% agree. But yeah, and Longhorns. Yeah, that's
What?
all. That's all I got there. He went to Texas.
Yeah, but like, why do you like the Longhorns?
Longhorns basketball, yeah.
Why?
Well, I always liked Shaka Smart, but now he's gone again, and
Oh,
I just
right.
like their colors.
Where is
I
he
just
now?
Marquette, I want to say no.
Shaka Smart's at Marquette?
Yeah,
Really? Okay.
yes, yeah, Marquette.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a few more guys. One of which I want to hit on, and one of which I want to know your opinion on. Um, okay, this guy Zeke Naji. Have you heard of this guy?
Zeke Naji, who's he play for?
The Nuggets.
Zeke Naji.
Watch out for Zeke Naji. Zeke Naji actually got a decent amount of playing time last year. I think more towards the second half of the season. But this guy is a 6'10", combo forward, and like is a 44% career 3-point shooter. He shot 46% in 41 games last season, and he's 6'10". Is like athletic build, like can I don't know how well he can move like that. I'm not sure if he's like a
Yo,
crazy athlete, but like when you're
he's
6'10", built as fuck, and can shoot 46% from the 3-point line, like that is an capital A asset.
he's from Minnesota.
What?
Yeah, he went to Hopkins.
He was at Hawkins?
Yeah, he started Lakeville North, then he went to Hopkins for his
Whoa,
senior year.
that's crazy.
Yeah,
Okay, wait, how old is he?
he's 21, so
Yeah.
even
Oh my gosh. Even better. Like
yeah,
like
yeah.
this kid is solid as fuck. And I don't know how he was defensively, but like if he can be good defensively, like he could be like a really solid, because as someone who's kind of a hater on Aaron Gordon, I just don't think he does much. Like he's just like a slasher,
Yeah.
and can't really space the floor like he should.
Gone downhill since he lost that. He was robbed of that dunk contest.
I don't even know if he's gone downhill. I just don't think he ever had like eye
He,
popping stats ever.
no, just like he is what he is. He's just like a very athletic guy. But Zeke Naji, also a piano prodigy, as I'm learning about him.
What?
Piano prodigy since the age of 5.
What?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Guy has all the tools.
So this man is dexterous, is what you're telling me.
Dexterity through the roof.
Shit. Okay. All right. Zeke Naji. Watch out for Zeke Naji.
Zeke Naji.
Next guy is we've talked about him a little bit before, but it's our boy Reggie Jackson, man.
Reggie Jackson. Love Reggie Jackson.
We love Reggie Jackson. He's quietly improved his 3-point percentage, year to year. Like he was kind of a brick master in OKC for those years, and he like wasn't great from three in Detroit either. I think people are still gonna go under the screen, on him, but like he's enough of a threat there to space.
Yeah, and he's a guy who can all of a sudden pop off for like
Totally.
40 points in one game.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
mean that's rare, but like, yeah, he's capable. He's certainly capable. And I think the reason why I bring him up is because people have been talking about how John Wall is going to start over this guy, and I'm like, no chance, no chance. I know, we haven't seen John Wall play, for like a long ass time, and like whatever, like we just don't know. But like, I have a hard time believing that John Wall's current play is going to be better than Reggie Jackson's current play. Like, I just think that Reggie Jackson has really improved as a player to like a legit start. He's not like the best starting point guard in the league, but like he is a solid starting point guard.
Yeah, I love Reggie Jackson, but I do think John Wall has gotten a terrible, terrible rap just for the past couple of years. Just literally, the Rockets are not even allowing him to play basketball. Like I think that's very unfair, uh, and I think that I don't. And the thing is with John Wall, you just don't really know what he's going to be like. He has to
No.
be what 33 now, 30 like he's got to be like kind of old now,
Yeah,
huh?
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
he's gotten
wow. I kind of
old.
forget about that. Yeah.
Like, he's a long ways away from the old,
Yeah.
these
The
days,
Kentucky days, those were
yeah,
fun, dude.
yeah. I mean, look,
Yeah.
obviously, gang sign John Wall is the best player in the
Untouchable.
league.
Yeah.
But if he's not at that level, then he's, I just can't see him like having that same hop in his step as.
And I do think this Reggie Jackson is like John Wall doesn't seem like the kind of point guard that they need starting in LA, you know. So, yeah.
All right.
Anyone else?
I just had last one. We don't have to talk about him too much, but is Jonas Valanciunas. Just because I think like when we talk about the Pelicans, we talk about Zion, we talk about Brandon Ingram, we talk about C.J. McCollum, we talk about Herb Jones, we talk about fucking what's his face? Come on, what's his name? The pest.
Um, oh, the Jose
Alvarado.
Alvarado, yeah,
Yeah, someone said Jose Calderon.
the Puerto Rican prince.
Yeah, so like he's like I think he's just forgotten, and he is a good ass rebounder. He's one of the best rebounders in the league, and is a really good offensive center as well.
Very efficient center.
Yeah.
One of the more efficient centers in the league, absolutely.
Yeah, and like was a huge part of that playoff push for that team without Zion, and they wouldn't have made it without him.
Yeah, he was on that Raptors team, right? That one?
No, that was Marc Gasol.
What year? Because he used to play for the. What year did he leave the Raptors?
He did. He was. They would play before. I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
he may have started his career in Toronto.
Oh, did he? Did he go? Did him and Marcus all swap when he went to the Grizzlies?
Yes. So yeah.
Yeah.
So he was on the Grizzlies for a bit, and then he was on the
Yeah.
Grizzlies team that like made the play-in, and then beat the Warriors, and then they got rid of him for some reason, and like I don't know, got worse but better, somehow.
Yeah.
But maybe it
Addition
just
by
wasn't
subtraction.
a good fit.
Yeah.
All right, that's all.